Tracy.
Hi Tracy, great to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. We're going to the media tech room.
Cool.
I spend all my time there.
I love this building. This is amazing.
This is the media tech room.
Oh my goodness, wow.
This is where all of our equipment is. All right, so thank you for being here.
You,
How are you
Tracy.
doing?
I'm doing great.
You're
I'm doing
great.
great. Beautiful school. Beautiful.
Yes, it's really pretty.
You guys are so blessed, man.
All right, what was immigrating from Venezuela to the U.S. like, and what challenges did you face, and why did your family decide to make that change?
All 7 of us moved here not knowing the language and having to learn it. And, you know, in a lot of ways, that was a challenge. I just dedicated myself, which is interesting because that's part of when I really began to fall in love with television. I didn't have time in Venezuela to ever watch television. I was riding horses, I was doing other things, you know, fun stuff outside always. But here, because we didn't know the language, didn't have friends, I began to really realize that I had something, you know, that to do with watching shows that could be successful, and I felt like there was something there for me as a kid. I was really good academically, and I graduated at 16 and went on to Rice to study architecture. But it wasn't my passion. You know, my passion was film and TV and those kind of things, and producing specifically. But I didn't know what that was. I didn't know anybody. You know, I lived from Venezuela to Texas and to Houston, and so finding those things out about myself took a little bit of mindfulness of what it was I was really good at. So I learned English by watching Sesame Street in the morning and Johnny Carson, the Tonight Show at night. And that's how I got, because a lot of comedy, so I could understand. I knew that if I could understand the jokes and the double entendres and the nuance of comedy, the English would come easier conversationally and things like that. So I delved very deeply into, I know all those old comedians, new comedians, it's very funny how that happened. And so I'm really grateful that I saw that as a way to really learn English. So within 3 months, I was doing pretty well. I had great teachers. I was blessed. I went to Memorial High School. And a lot of people say they had one good teacher. I was blessed with at least 6 teachers by name that I can give you. And we were the only Latinos in the school. We're the only non-white, you know, we were the only, you know, there was nobody but us.
How was your time at Rice? And I know you got in at 16. Like, how did that feel?
When I went to high school and I was learning English, I didn't have time for any extracurricular activities, which is the reason I graduated early. I took summer school to not lose any ground learning English. So college for me became the place that I didn't have a lot of friends, for example, in high school. I didn't have time. I was cooking for my whole family. You know, I came here after somebody else did all of those things back in Venezuela. My sister cleaned the house. I was the cook, so I cooked there were always 12 of us at the house too, with a couple of cousins thrown in. So college kind of opened up the doors for me to finally have an experience, you know, that I didn't have in high school. So, and I don't regret it or resent it, because I think college was a much better place to have those friendships, to join the theater group, to, you know, go do all these extracurricular things. So it was really fun.
Wow. What challenges did you face being in the male-dominated industry?
Wow.
A lot.
Quite a few. Quite a few. I was blessed enough that a couple of women producers, big-time producers, and they've been 2 of my mentors throughout. It's almost like I was being put in a path where there was always a woman that was having to deal with the struggles I was dealing with, and I was going to be dealing with. Even though I was in a male-dominated world, these women, I've known them since they were beginning their careers as big-time executives and things like that too. So I always had somebody that was a little bit watching out for me or giving me good advice, and somebody I could call in a pinch, or if I needed a connection to somebody else, and with great advice and great love and great generosity of their wisdom. So in that way, it helped. But it is really rough to be in that world. And when you're coming in, and I didn't go to film school, but I'd been in theater, so I knew a lot. you know, from behind the scenes. I never was an actress. I never have done one audition in my life. So, but I always centered it around the fact that I know who I am. So whatever insults, whatever things, I just let them roll off and just kept doing what I did.
So, you played a lot in my childhood, honestly. Spy Kids and Shark Boy and Lava Girl are one of my favorite movies. And I think it was honestly because I saw people who were like me in those movies as well.
Yeah.
How does it feel to know that you influence so many young people in your community, especially in the Latino community?
It's wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
That kids could still come up and
Mm-hmm.
say, my name is Carmen. My name is, you know, I saw myself in those movies. And, you know, and it's the, you know, we were making action movies. And a lot of parents were coming up to us in the like festival circle. Oh, my son loves your movies, or my daughter loves your movies. And it's like, how is your son thinking they're 18? They're like, oh, 6 years old. And they're like, they're not supposed to be watching R-rated movies. But what Robert really felt, it was that they were loving the energy in this, the goofiness, the energy in those movies. So let's come up with a kid's story that, you know, kids' movies that have that energy and that goofiness in a way, and that action, the action stuff, you know. So that's how those movies came about.
Ooh, this is a good one. How do you feel about how the Hispanic community has been portrayed in the film industry? Like, I know you talked about it, like being portrayed as narcos or women being sexualized. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
It's a double-edged sword in a lot of ways, because I've made movies about, you know, shoot 'em ups and, you know, things like that. El Mariachi, obviously, El Desperado, Once Upon a Time in Mexico. But I've also made movies that have to do with, you know, Spy Kids, or, you know, Jack Lava, different ones, you know. So I don't have judgment against what they're doing. My problem is that that's all that's coming out, and those are the only jobs that are being offered. So actors that I've hired, you know, tell me, it's like, I'm tired of being these things. We need to do other movies, other stories, you know. So creating those avenues for actors is a big deal, and I want to continue to do those kind of things, because there should be all kinds of movies, you know, with all kinds of people, with all ethnicities, and it shouldn't just be Narcos Mexico, Narcos blah blah blah, Narcos, you know. And so, but the thing is, if we want to see something different, we have to stop watching those shows and not give them, and start watching the shows that do come out that are for, you know, about Latino stories, you know, and there's tons of shows like that, tons of movies. So we have to be the first. This is how I view what we do. Our viewing, our eyes are our vote, and our money is our vote. So you vote for what you want to see more of. So I really believe, but it is up to us as our votes, our vote, to not watch it, to not be the one that pulls the trigger to watch it, and to watch other things that are more in line of what we want to see.
Lastly, what advice do you have for the class of 2022?
Keep developing your talents, all of them, one by one, 2 by 2, 3 by 3. And they are going to make a way for you where you're supposed to be, and where you're supposed to be in your bliss, in your passion. And you'll find yourself looking back and thinking, oh man, like Steve Jobs said, look, the dots connect. So have the faith to know they're going to connect forward too. They're connecting. When you look back at your life, how it got you here. Then know that you, your true self, with that faith is going to take you where you're supposed to go. But it's through developing those talents, through hard work, through having the faith to, even if something's hard, doesn't mean that you're going to give it up. You're just going to push harder, you know? So that's my advice.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was good.
Appreciate it.